What's up, boys? It's Crook here, back again with another story time. Now, in today's story time, I'm telling the story about how I was introduced to something that I shouldn't have been introduced to, given by my age. Now, you may be asking yourself, Crook, why, what is the thing that you were introduced to? I'll get into that later on into the story time, but if you read the title, you should know. But yeah, if you guys do like the story time, go ahead and like and subscribe. You'd really be helping me out. Thank you guys for all the support over on TikTok and over on here on YouTube. I really do appreciate it. You guys are making, this worth my while. If we can get 10 views on this video, that'd be amazing. I know we can do it. So yeah, love you guys. Let's get into the story time. Alright, so this story time takes place in 3rd grade. Now, in 3rd grade, I've said this already, but I used to go to this daycare that a family friend owned, and we used to go there for free. And we just stay there until my mom came back from work and picked us up. So, you probably already know all the details about that if you did watch those other story times. But if you didn't watch them, give you a quick rundown. Now, I was pretty much friends with everyone there, and one of my friends, who was actually the oldest one there, that was, frequently there, who we're just gonna name Tyrell. Now, Tyrell was a pretty cool person. We'd always play basketball with him. That was back when I used to really play basketball. And, he was a really cool person, alright? Tyrell, 10 out of 10. But, the thing about him is, he was, way older than me. So I was, in 3rd grade, right? So I was around, the 7 to 8-year-old range, and this kid was 11. So, he definitely knew a little bit more about the world than I did. And, like I said in the start of the story time, he showed me something that, for my age, I should have never seen. But yeah, the day the story time took place was a very, very normal one, I woke up, I went to school, got out of school, came to daycare, sat down. I just went to sleep because I usually did that. Or to go over and play with the other kids. Just doing what any small child at daycare would do. So, I go over there and I'm playing around with them. And then Tyrell looks at me from the other side of the room and he's like, bro, come here. And he didn't just call me, he called my other friend, who we're just gonna name James. So he calls me and James up over to him. And we go over and we're like, yeah, what's up? And he's like, dude, I have to show you something on my phone. And I'm just like, what? Because I didn't know the kid had a phone, but I guess he did. So I go over and I look at his phone, it's just a regular phone. And he's like, yo, I gotta show you something. It's crazy. And I'm like, alright, cool. So we go over. And then we look at his phone and he opens the web browser. And the guy literally started showing us P-Hub. Now, if you don't know what P-Hub is, first of all, have you been living under a rock? Yes, I already know. Second of all, if you do know what P-Hub is, which, like I said, you probably should, it's not very kids friendly. It has to do with sexual intercourse, so, definitely not kid friendly, and I definitely shouldn't have been seeing it. But being the asshole that this kid Tyler was, he started showing it to us. So we start showing us all these weird ass fucking videos, and me and my friend James are just laughing hysterically because, like I said, we were all in me and him were both in the 7 to 8-year-old range, so we didn't know how serious P-Hub was. So we're just laughing, laughing at random things, and he's like, alright, you gotta stop. So he turns off his phone. And the one thing which is going to be very important later on in the story time, he did not clear his, history. Which, if you don't know, if you're going to go on P-Hub as a child still in your parents' household, quick little tip, clear your history after you ever go on those sites. You shouldn't be going on those sites anyways, but young boys are going to be young boys. But if you do, be smart about it. And do not just leave it there for the whole world to see. But, yeah, that's the big mistake that Tyler made. He did not clear his history. So he turns off his phone and is like, alright, go. So we go over and we start playing and we start telling other kids about it, which is how one of the administrators found out about it. And he was like, one of the guys in the administration came over, and he asked me and James to come into the corner. So we go over, and he's like, "All right, what are you guys talking about?" And he was like, and me and my friend Tyler, well, no, not Tyler, James. We look at him, and we both look at each other, and then, like I said, we're 7 to 8 years old, so we didn't know anything about, P-Hub. So we were like, oh yeah, Brandon showed us stuff on his phone. And he's like, what type of stuff? And we were just like, I don't know. Because, we didn't know what sex was at the time. So he was like, alright, I'm going to go over there and ask him. So he goes over and he asks Tyler what he showed him. And then he spits out some bullshit lie. He said some like fucking Mickey Mouse shit when it definitely wasn't that. So he's like, alright, let me see your phone. And he says, okay. He gives him his phone. And he goes to his web browser. And he's like, okay, well, can you show me like the history of when you actually showed it to him? This guy was just asking random questions. So he's like, okay. He goes, and then he sees the P-Hub link. And he was like, what were you showing them? And he was just like, oh. And then he immediately tries clearing it, but before he could, the administrator already grabbed his phone. It was game over for him. So he's like, go to the principal's office right now. And he walks away crying. And me and my friend were just like, why is he crying? Because, we didn't know anything about that. So we were just like, why is he crying? And he's like, you boys just go on about your day, alright? Forget that ever happened. And we're like, okay. So we go over, we keep playing. And a couple of days later, we find out that Tyler got suspended from the daycare. He no longer could come there. So yeah, that was one of the last times I ever saw Tyler. His siblings went there with me, and my friend to the same daycare. So he'd come with his mom to come pick him up. But those were the only times that I would ever see him. But yeah, that's the story time of the first time I've ever looked at or ever experienced P-Hub. Alright, this story time was crazy, so if you did like it, go ahead and like and subscribe. And if you want to, you can go follow my other socials over at my Instagram and my TikTok. I love you guys, and Crook is out of here.